Hello, everybody. It is Monday morning again at 11 a.m. And you know what that means. We are live today on the Rockstar Coach Brand Club. I am super excited today because a friend of mine, good friend of mine, through a networking group called Success Champions, she actually approached me on this idea and I thought it was fantastic. Her name is Deanna Russo. She is a LinkedIn expert and founder of Leverage Up LLC. And she's not just a LinkedIn coach, okay? She actually grew her network on LinkedIn from 400 people to 28,000 followers. And she started Leverage Up and so that she could pass on that knowledge and help others achieve all of the benefits that she learned on the way. She has a very distinct strategy on the platform, and it's got three parts, and it's her LinkedIn triangle. And it's made up of your profile, engagement, and content. And we're going to go into that today in some detail. There's a link between each part of that triangle. And so once you're successful in one part, you need the other two parts so that, the chair will stand essentially. Deanna works with her clients one-on-one. She works in groups. And what she's really wanting to do is maximize the benefits of LinkedIn for you in the fastest way possible so that you can actually make this platform work really well for you and be efficient and effective. So, without further ado, let's welcome Deanna Russo to the Rockstar Coach Brand Club. Yay! So nice to see you.
Thank you so much for having me.
I am so excited. I'm so excited. So, real quick, I want to share with those of you who are probably listening in here on social media, we're here in a Zoom room together. And the benefits of being in the room with us is that you get to interact with each other, make some connections. You get to interact directly with Deanna because during the show, we're going to get your questions answered. Also, after the show, we have some Q&A, like, private Q&A. She's going to give you coaching. So if you want that, you got to get in the show with us. And my assistant's going to go ahead and put that out on social media right now to get into the show. So that is enough said on that topic. So Deanna, let's get started with you. So what I want to know is, and I'm sure everybody else wants to know, for those of us that not I know her, but for those of you that don't, tell us a little bit about your background. Why did you decide to specialize in helping people maximize their LinkedIn results?
Well, I could go back in time, but I'll give you the Reader's Digest version. The Reader's Digest version is for about 10 years, I treated LinkedIn like an online resume. And everyone who is currently on LinkedIn, active, even semi-active, knows that it's not an online resume. But my disclaimer is it originally started down that path when LinkedIn launched back in 2005. So for about 10 years, I was online resume Deanna. I would change my work experience. I would change something here or there, maybe once or twice a year. And that all changed in 2018. I totally pivoted from online resume Deanna to, oh my gosh, LinkedIn is a really awesome, amazing place to be. And what did it was a sales job. I was in a sales position for a small IT startup in Columbus, Ohio. And as I was connecting with people in that sales opportunity, it was a small IT startup. We were in staffing recruiting. So I was looking to connect with companies who are hiring. Okay. So as I was doing this, I realized very early in the game that people did not know me, they did not like me, and they probably didn't trust me if they didn't know me first. So what I did was I pivoted from cold call messaging people. You know those messages. If you're on LinkedIn, chances are you get some of those messages on a regular basis. Hello, nice to meet you. I don't know you, but do business with me. I actually got one this morning, ironic as enough. So I pivoted from that because it just didn't feel right for me. And while I was having some success with it, I just didn't feel like that was the right strategy. So I started creating content on LinkedIn. I started having conversations on LinkedIn. I put some work into my profile to really brand myself in a way that best represented my goals and who I was on and off LinkedIn. And then next thing you know, Melissa, it starts to grow. And I wasn't watching the numbers. I mean, anyone who knows me online, offline, I'm not lying about this. I really wasn't, because I was paying so much attention to the sales and my job that it took me 18 months in before I'm like, oh my God, wait, what was I at the beginning of this whole thing? And where am I now? It was just eye-opening. So anyone who tells you you have to pay for followers or pay for connections, nope, I did it all organically. So there's a
Good.
reason why I set up that triangle.
Yeah.
Because
So
it
tell
worked.
me, so how long did it take you to get to the 28,000, you
It's
think?
been, well, 2000, it's been about 5 years or so total,
Mm-hmm.
5 years, but
Mm-hmm.
it's just a matter of the triangle that I created, and then building in a fourth piece, which is consistency, because you can have a really good profile, but if no one sees it,
Right.
then it's just a really good profile. You could be having conversations, for example, but if the other two pieces are missing, it's just like a puzzle. You got to make sure all of the pieces fit into the right place. And then consistency, you have to keep showing up. You have to, and it doesn't mean you have to be posting 6 times a day, 7 days a week, but everything needs to be working so that you're not monitoring this 24/7 and it's working when you're not there.
Amazing. Amazing. How exciting. I love that. So, what would be really great is if all of us could get to 28,000 faster than 5 years, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
everybody here would agree with that. So I love that you mentioned like you talked about, building your own brand on LinkedIn. That obviously resonates really a lot with me. I'm biased, okay, but I 100% agree with that. So what I think is kind of confusing sometimes for people is you've got the company page and you got your personal profile. So if and I'll be honest, I don't pay a whole lot of attention to my company page. It's there, but I'm not really doing a lot with that. So I would love to know from you, what do you think is most important? Is it your company page, your personal profile? Should we be, paying attention to both? Like, give me some information on that one.
I would say if I was going to separate it into percentages, I would, at one place, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I would say it would be 80/20. 80% personal,
Mhm.
20% company page. Now, I think a better estimate, a better percentage is 65/35. That's
Wow.
where I think that you're still leaning heavily on the personal profile, but ignoring it completely is not the best game plan. So you still need to pay attention that people are still going to be looking at the company page. And for example, I did a post, I believe it was in early April, about what it looks like for people to work with us, what people say as they're working with us, and then what our services look like. So that if I don't post anything on there for a few weeks, they're going to it and they're seeing that one.
Mm.
So
And
that's
you have
where
that pinned up at the top?
right. I would like to. I
Nice.
would like to. LinkedIn offered a option to pin comments to the top. And when it comes to the company page, you can actually pin the post to the top. So
So cool. I want to remind everyone who's here, please put your questions in the chat because as we go along, we may stop here and there to answer them live. You're also welcome to, have your questions on the side for after the call too, if you want to ask them privately. So, because I'm just going to be going here and like I have questions, so I'm assuming they're the same ones that you have otherwise, unless you tell me otherwise. So, with that in mind, then let's go just a little bit deeper into that. What the heck should we be posting on their company page? Because I'm all about the personal page, and that's where I go like all the time. So, give us maybe just some like 2 or 3 things that you think would be great, and maybe a cadence. Can you do that?
sure,
Okay.
absolutely. So a cadence, I would say at least once a month.
Okay.
If you want to do twice a month, that would be good for the company page. As far as what it is, I would say posting something about a family trip or where you've been, probably not something that you'll be posting on the company page, but posting your new website, posting an event you've got coming up, posting something that is transforming in your business. Honestly, I almost shared the post I did this morning. I just didn't have the time because today is a first for me in my business. So I was going to share both the personal one to the company one. So those are examples of ways that you can share and alternate what goes on what page.
So cool. Thank you for that. That was very helpful for me because now I need to take another look. So Nancy says regarding the business page, does it have to be new material or can it be a repeat of what you post on our personal page? Great question, Nancy.
Yeah, I think repurposing your content is very important. No one is going to remember that you posted something 6 months ago, something 12 months ago. So I feel like if you want to repurpose it and test it on the company page, go for it. Honestly, because if you have any question in your mind whether something is organically going to attract an audience, there's nothing stopping you from testing it. I am a big proponent of test to see what works.
So good. Cool. And then along those lines, this is kind of going back to, I think, your personal page, because I think most people are really focused on that. But hold on a second. Someone wants to come in. Let's get them in the room with us. Thank you for joining us. And so, what would you say is the most common mistake that you see people making on LinkedIn? And then how can they avoid that?
Wow. Where do you want me to start?
Well, what do you see? Like, what comes to mind first? Like, bam, you're always talking about this.
The first one is the cold call selling and the direct messaging. I think that's got to be one of the biggest things that a lot of us are facing on a regular basis. It's got to be one of the most common is pitching instead of getting to know, like, and trust. Honestly, I am in the midst of growing my group in my networking group, and I started a conversation, but I knew that my networking group was meeting tomorrow morning, and so I had the conversation going in the DMs, and then I said, and just so you know, I'm not pitching this, but this is an opportunity because you check a couple of the boxes. And then I followed it up with, I swear to God, I'm not pitching you. I just am offering this as an opportunity. So it's like, because so many people get pitched on a regular basis,
Yes.
that
Yes.
you have to like apologize now that I'm not pitching you. I just saw this as an opportunity and thought you'd like to come check it out. So yeah, that's got to be one of the biggest things. It's people are sick and tired of being pitched on LinkedIn. In fact, it's turning people off of the platform. And that's really sad because I always apologize on behalf of the thousands of people, if not more, who aren't there to sell, who are there really to build and to get to know people. And that's what it's all about.
I hear you. And I'm going to be just a little bit controversial on that. I don't believe that that you should come out and just be openly pitching people, but I do believe that the platform, we're there to do business. And part of that is actually reaching out to people who could be helped by what we offer. So with that in mind, and we're probably going to get a little deeper into this maybe in a little bit, but I want to open that box right now. So what would you say is the best way to reach out to someone when you know, like, you're intentional about the people you're reaching out to and you do want to connect with them, but it comes from an intentional place, and the intention of helping. So give us that sort of, I wouldn't call it a script, but give us that guidance.
Right. If I was having conversations with you through my comments, I would be more inclined to set up a Zoom call, to set up a phone call, because I'm already seeing you. And that's where a lot of people make the disconnect. That commenting, there's a reason why commenting is so important on LinkedIn. And visibility is a big part of it. It is about having conversations. Because honestly, I would be more inclined to go to a networking event. And now this never happens, Melissa, but it's the best metaphor I can use to explain this. So strategically, when I'm working with my clients on the second piece, on the engagement piece, on the commenting, the metaphor I use is going into a face-to-face networking event and there's big billboard signs hanging over all of the groups of people talking. Again, it doesn't happen, but it's a metaphor I can use
Yes,
to
go for
explain.
it. I like
So
it.
these people are talking about this, and these people are talking about this, and going to those conversations on LinkedIn because you know that you want to be talking to those people. And so in that strategy, in those that commenting strategy, you're strategically going to those on purpose. Okay, I won't overuse the word strategy, but you're on purpose going to those conversations. And then as you're having the conversations on LinkedIn for everybody in that area to see, then you're more inclined to get onto those direct messages. You're more inclined to move those conversations offline. Does
So
that make
good.
sense?
Yes, it does.
Good.
I agree with that. That's right. Sajad says that, well, this was, I think, in regards to the pitching. He said advertising instead of adding massive value. Agreed. Absolutely. And then Carol had a question. When you test posts, what is a good response? What should I be looking for? I don't know if that makes sense. That question makes sense to you, Deanna, or if we
It
need a little bit more
does.
context. Okay, go ahead.
It does. It
Mm-hmm.
does. So a lot of people may be inclined, or maybe the first thing they think about is, oh, good, this post is doing well because I got 1,000 views. And I would say a different opinion. That post is doing good because I have 10 to 15 comments. Okay, it's about creating conversations.
Mm.
I'll give you an example of one post that flies and does pretty good, and another post that falls a little flat. If someone is posting about, I'll just give an example. Let's just say starting a conversation, okay? So if you post a question inside of a post, then you're pulling the conversation out. You're inspiring people to then answer the question in the comments, okay? As opposed to talking directly at the person and maybe not leaving any window open for the conversation. Does that make
Mm-hmm.
sense?
It does to me. Carol, how do you feel about that? I can't see everyone, so Carol,
Comments is a really good, it's
Carol's,
a
it's
really good way to gauge it.
thumbs up, Carol, or she's got thumbs up, so we're good. Great. Thank you. Okay, let's dive in here because I want to get to some of these LinkedIn secrets. And what I really want to know is, and we've started to talk about this, but let's go a little farther down into that conversation. You've done some commenting on someone's posts. They're noticing you. So then the next step is reaching out, asking to connect. What's our next step? And kind of take us a little bit down the road of, okay, now we've identified this person. Like, how do you get us around to getting on a call with them? What does that look like?
First of all, personalize the invite. Too many people go I can't say it, I'm going to say lazy way. They go the lazy way of just connecting with someone and no one knows reason why you want to connect. So personalize the invite first and then say, look, we've had some really good conversations about X, Y, and Z. What do you say we connect? And then if that person then accepts that connection request and say, so we've been talking back and forth for, I don't know, a couple weeks, and it makes a little bit of sense to me to get to know you a little bit more on a phone call or a Zoom call. What do you think? So it's not pushy. It's just asking if that is an opportunity, and you never know what's going on the other side. So that's why make it less about you and more about the other person, so that you're giving and there's not as much taking in that invitation.
Mm, mm. Yeah, I'd probably be inclined to try and get on the call a little sooner than 2 weeks, but that's just me. If it's someone I'm
Yeah,
really
if,
like,
if you
"I
want to
really
do it
wanna talk to
sooner, then
you."
you can try. But I
Yes.
find that the more that you're being visible to that person, the
Yeah,
more inclined that person will get onto. Because I don't even know if that person that I sent a direct message to today is even going to show up at my group tomorrow. So it's one
right.
of those examples
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that
You gotta
might be
keep
too
going. You
early.
you gotta keep adding the value as you go along,
Right.
absolutely. Nancy has a question on that. She said, "What's your opinion about LinkedIn pods or other groups that are posting and commenting with each
Ugh,
other to get your post in front of their networks?"
mm-mm. I'm not a
Mm,
big fan of doing the homework that is an engagement pod. I'm part of this group, you're part of this group, this person's part of this group. And so I'm going to post, and then you have to comment and you have to like it. And I feel like organically that conversation should happen. If I see a post from, I'm just going to pull someone out of the audience. If I see a post from Suzanne that I really can't relate to, or I can't formulate a good comment to, chances are I'm going to scroll right by it. So even if Suzanne is in the pod with me. So that's where it's, and not to mention, not only do I not feel healthy about it and it's not organic, but it goes against LinkedIn policies that, and no one really talks about it too much, but you could get suspended from LinkedIn if,
what? Talk more about that. Tell us more about
right.
that.
Right. It's LinkedIn has strict policies against things like engagement pods because it's not organic. It's really forced engagement that you're only going to comment on that post because you're in a group with them. So yeah, that's where it's like, no, I feel like more inclined to do the organic way and to make sure, again, go back to strategic commenting. If that person is in the health and fitness area and you are trying to connect with CFOs, for example, does it
Hmm.
even make sense to be treading in those waters in the health and fitness? Does
Mm,
that make sense for your business to be in there?
indeed.
So strategic, swim where the people want to be swimming with you and having conversations with you.
So good. So good. Thank you for saying that because I think, yeah, I had no idea that they're looking out for that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
real interesting. Okay. So we're going to talk a little bit. We're getting close to the time when we're going to do some of these deep dives into people's profiles. So the last question I'm going to ask before we do that is what is exactly your process? Like, walk us through the process that you do when you help your clients actually create that LinkedIn strategy that's custom for them.
Yes. Yes. So when I created this, I realized that this is what worked for me. And so there's no reason why, depending on what the end goal is, regardless of what the end goal is, I should say, that it can't work for other people. So everyone has a profile on LinkedIn. That is the first priority. That is the first thing we work on. In a 30-minute Zoom call, I take you through each piece of the profile and we talk about what it should look like, what you have there, how we can tweak it to make it better. In some cases, you can just check the box. I had someone whose profile picture looked absolutely perfect. I'm like, I'm not going to make you switch out your profile picture when it looks good. So we can just check the box and move on. So that is the first part of the coaching. The second part is engagement, and that's really where we go to that networking event that I explained earlier, and we have conversations where with people that you want to be part of. We strategically go to those conversations on purpose. And then the third piece is really a seeing where we've been in that first and second one, and then adding the content piece into it and talking about, well, maybe this piece does really good on Instagram, but it doesn't really fit how you need to be writing for LinkedIn. A lot of people, if they're on multiple social media platforms, they'll be like, okay, boom, 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 done.
Hmm.
It might not flow as well, and it might not that resonate as well on LinkedIn that it does on other platforms. So it's about writing and about creating content, regardless of if it's a text post, if it's an image post, whatever it ends up being
Mm-hmm.
for LinkedIn.
I love that. And I love that you actually went to the content piece at the end.
Yep.
But
Yep. It
people
saved
are
the best
doing
for
it
last.
backwards.
And then what I do is after that 6 week of coaching is all wrapped up, 6 week, 3 Zoom calls, boom, boom, boom. Then we add in a group membership. And that is something that I have found not only peer-to-peer accountability. So it's not just Deanna, but these are all people that have worked with Leverage Up already. So in one room. And then we only meet once a month. And so it's not a big time commitment. And then we also stay in touch on LinkedIn in a group specifically, a private group specifically for the people that are part of the group membership. And Melissa, you're going to laugh at this because I think you might be able to relate to this. So the metaphor I used for starting my group membership was the Price is Right mountain climber game.
Oh my God, I love it.
And he's scaling and he's scaling and he's getting to and then he falls right off.
That's true.
I am going to be posting about that on LinkedIn. I'm just trying to find the right visual to match it.
Oh, you're gonna have to find
scaling that mountain.
I would say this, find the video from The Price is Right for that and just do a little clip. That's perfect. I love it. I love it. Real quick before we're going to get to these LinkedIn profiles, I promise. But tell me, just give us a very quick example of someone that went through your program and what happened, where were they before and where are they now?
Yes. So I have a really good example, and he comments almost every single time I post about something LinkedIn oriented. And he started before we started working together, he was getting 10 profile views a week. Now he's getting, I would say it's closing in on 800 profile views a week, because sometimes it's like 750, sometimes it's 790. He sends me updates, Melissa. Amazing. And really, I have to say that I did the percentages because I am not a math major, but the big percentage to go from 10 to 750 is really huge on LinkedIn because it's about being visible. And about being visible strategically to the people that you want to attract.